You know what? That's why I usually have Zach do this. But anyways, hey, what's up, Belly Up, Brad? Thanks for jumping on. Obviously, you realize Zach's not here. No, we're sitting here. Zach's the one that usually it's a shit show when we start. Thanks for jumping on, anyways. But no, yes, I'm sitting here talking to Brad because Zach's the one that usually does this for me.
I could
Gets
have
this all
totally
set up
done
in
it
my
for
car.
you, man.
No, you're fine. So yeah, I'm sitting here waiting for the video, and he's just like, "Yep, we're good to go." So, but anyways, obviously, no Zach. I'm Mike, your host. What's up, Belly Up? A little different episode today because Zach is out shaking hands and kissing babies, thinking he's a big wig since his move to Tampa Bay. But I got Brad Shanler with me. I would assume are you the creating founder of Pesky Report? Pesky Report.
Actually, I am.
There you
I
go.
founded the Pesky Report back in March of 2021, and we've gradually been growing with members, co-hosts, and people who have been helping behind the scenes since. And right now, I think we have probably our strongest people as a part of the show.
Absolutely, which is awesome. That's why, for one, you know, if anybody tunes in, Zach's not a huge baseball guy. I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I grew up. I was a Tigers fan, so I lived through that. We've had a little success up and down. Obviously, Zach is a Tigers fan if he claims baseball. So while Zach's not here, we're gonna have a little baseball talk. We'll touch on some other topics here, but again, just kind of jumping into it, Brad. We talked about Pesky Report and what you guys going, but really, I wanted to get you on here again, talk baseball, but also talk about a little bit about what you guys do. Obviously, the name kind of gives it away. You guys are probably one of the probably the biggest or I said probably one of the most up and coming Boston shows. You guys have had some relative success last year, really doing well this year. So we'll talk, specifically about your team, but what does your show like? How does your show work? Well, give us a little rundown. Say if we never saw your show, how does this work?
So first and foremost, the Pesky Report, we talk about the Boston Red Sox. Got the name. I was talking to a friend of mine about 2 years ago, and he wanted me to start a Boston Red Sox podcast. And I told him, I'd have to think about it, but if I was going to do so, I would name it the Pesky Report after the Pesky Poll, which was also named after Johnny Pesky. Yeah. And we decided in March. Actually, rewind a little bit. I was working with a couple other baseball podcasts, and it didn't work out, but like no hard feelings, And I just right before spring training ended, I was stuck. And I enjoyed podcasting, so I was just like, I'm gonna start my own podcast. So I decided to reach out to my buddy, see if he wanted to do it. Unfortunately, he wasn't available to do it. So I started reaching out to, on Twitter, I started reaching out to people. And one of the first people I actually reached out to was our only female who's on the podcast, Bailey. We were writing for another company, and I didn't like it. So I left immediately. I didn't even write a single blog for them. But I reached out to her and I was like, hey, you're a Red Sox fan. I'm starting a podcast. I would love to have you come on, because I didn't want to just be male oriented, just a bunch of dudes, talking about baseball. I wanted to reach out to the female audience as well, So having a female on was going to make that better, or make that easier. So we actually have had two female co-hosts. One actually ended up going on to do another podcast. And so during the season, what we do is after every series, we record an episode. So if there's a 2-game series, a 3-game series, even a 4-game series, we'll jump on after the last game typically, and we'll start recording. Sometimes we start recording at midnight, and we don't finish until almost 2:00 in the morning. And, that sucked for me last year because I was up at 4:30 in the morning for my actual job. And I'd go to work, all sleepy eyed and everything. But luckily enough, my job was easy enough for me to be able to do it without sleep. Go. Maybe that's the reason why I got laid off.
But anyways, yeah, so that's the general purpose. Obviously, again, why I've got Brad on tonight. We don't talk a lot of baseball. And Brad, for those that don't know, last year, for the year 2021, that was his first year, his show's first year on our network. I'm not saying our network propelled them because they were a great show, they had great numbers, but they actually finished the year as our podcast of the year. So it's a great honor to have you on. I know you guys work really hard, like you talk about. It doesn't matter. You guys are staying up late. You guys are definitely getting it in. You guys are you're building a great following. You're having a great base. You're starting to land some really, really great guests we'll talk about. Obviously the Boston Sports Network, or not network, but the Boston Sports area, I feel like it could be pretty watered down. Everybody's got a show, but really to stand out, to be successful, you gotta be able to land those guests. You got to be able to have these people on there going to make it really compelling, or you've got to really land that audience. And I think you guys do a great job of doing that. You've shown tons of success. You guys continue to grow. You're one of our hottest shows as far as downloads, all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool to see. And I know you guys had, you kind of touched on it, some ups and downs on different members. You guys are, at some points you guys record with, 2, 3, 4 people, you guys are pretty consistent, but I know I don't want to, it's not a spoiler by any means. You guys already released the episode, but you want to touch real quick on your most recent episode. We were kind of talking off air. You were really excited because you had a really great guest. How'd that work out for you, and who was it?
So last year, in December of 2020, there was an announcement made that, was it December? It could have been January. I believe she said January, but let's just go with January. Last year in January of 2021, the Boston Red Sox made an announcement that they had hired the first African-American female for professional baseball to be a coach, Bianca Smith. And we actually, I just randomly decided, I'm going to send her a message. What's the worst that can happen? She doesn't, she doesn't answer, or she says no, So I reached out, I sent her a message, and less than 20 minutes later, she was like, yeah, absolutely. I would love to come on. And I told her last night before we even started, I was like, this is probably the most nervous I've ever been for a guest. We've had Steve Peralta on, who was big with the Boston Red Sox. He did Section 10. We've had Jen McCaffrey, who writes for The Athletic. We had Chris Cotillo, who writes for Mass Live. We've had Rob Bradford, who does WEEI, which is radio up in Boston, and he covers the Boston Red Sox as well. So with all the guests that we've had, I haven't ever been this nervous. And it wasn't nervous because of the person. It was just, I didn't want to screw it up. I didn't want to ask something stupid. And one thing that I don't tell tell any of our guests, and I always think about should I tell them before they come on, is we are actually sponsored by a cannabis kitchen. And when Steve Peralta came on, he was thrown off by it. There was nothing wrong with it, but he was just well, didn't expect that, because that's our intro. We have that as our intro. It's pot and food and stuff there. So, most of our guests don't even mention it, and I'm always nervous, oh, should I say something? But last night was, we've actually had a professional baseball player on, and we had Ryan Lavarnway, who was an ex-catcher for the Boston Red Sox. He actually played last year for the Cleveland Indians. But like I said, last night I was just I was shocked. And she was just personable, She was, it was like talking to a friend, and it wasn't as soon as we started, it was just simple.
That's awesome. You guys, like I said, have had a great slate of guests as of recent. I know you're really excited to have her on. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I'm really looking forward to it. But obviously, like I said, talking baseball, for you right now, with everything going on in the baseball, I know the reason I like talking to you is because you're very like me. You're very straightforward. You're not here to tell people what they want to hear. You're just going to tell them how it is. You don't care. So with the baseball lockout, I think you're very straightforward. And I don't think you have a lot of stock in baseball getting to where it needs to be anytime soon. And I'll say you're a commissioner because you're the bigger baseball fan than me.
Not my commissioner.
I was just saying, I think everybody knows how big of a failure he is compared to any commissioner. But is there any feeling, is there anything that, I mean, aside from spring training baseball, do you think that there's a real chance that March 31st, that first pitch is thrown and the season actually opens up?
It's kind of hard to like.
I know there's still a lot of time. A lot of things can happen, but the way things are going,
it depends because they're getting together on Saturday, and I take what Manfred says with a grain of salt, but there was something released earlier today saying that he's going to try and make it like a point to get passed, so that they can all agree on a CBA.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you can't believe that guy. It's kind of like every commissioner talks out their ass pretty much. Yeah. And they work for the owners. They don't, and unfortunately they don't think of the fans. They try to make it so like, hey, we're doing this. And then now that players have, social media and things like that, so that they can post what they're thinking. Like Max Scherzer was speaking out. He's part of the Players Association. You have Andrew Miller, who's also a part of the Players Association. You got a lot of these players out there that are actually like, nah, this is not what's happening. Like I forgot who it was, but there was a player the other day that was like, they could probably give us the exact same thing we had last time, and we'd be playing baseball. So I mean, I don't think it's billionaires versus millionaires, and the fans lose.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? Like, okay, they've been toying with the DH for a long time, and then he comes out and says, he wants to talk about or release a universal DH and stuff like that. I feel like, and I also saw actually someone in our group chat mentioned the other day that any vaccinated media members with boosters are going to be allowed in the clubhouses this year for interview purposes and stuff like that, which is great. And I feel like they're releasing all this stuff like, yeah, your media members are going to be in the clubhouse. We're going to have a universal DH and stuff like that. I think they're kind of, it's almost like they're just trying to kind of string you along, because really, more than likely, outside of 1994, baseball is probably going to happen. It depends, but like you said, these players now have a platform to really come out and say, either you're lying or this is not what it is. So it puts more heat on the commissioner, which is great. That's exactly what it is. But baseball's never been known for being very good at marketing their team. So is this a way of them to try to keep the public's interest or the fans' interest, saying these things, even though, like you said, I kind of agree with you. I think the season, it'll probably happen. Usually when crunch time comes, push comes to shove, things happen. But I mean, these are kind of things that it's kind of weird the time, like talking about a universal DH and stuff like that. Do you think the way things are, and we can talk, football too. Football went to another game in the season. So when it comes to records and different things, you go from the National League to the American League. Is the universal DH, is that good for baseball?
Yes and no. I'm actually all for it. I don't like seeing pitchers hit, and I understand where people come from, and they say like pitchers hitting, you get the double switch. It's time. Like nobody wants to see Chris Sale hit. Nobody wants to see Garrett Cole hit. Like they're going to get on base. There's a good possibility like they're going to get hurt running the bases.
Yeah.
You're paying these guys, that much money and whatnot. They're not really base runners. They're not hitters. They're going to pull something. They're going to hurt themselves. I mean, I'm for the DH, the universal DH. It's something I've been pulling for a couple of years. But back to the whole the whole lockout and everything, and whether or not they're going to have a season. The biggest thing that I think about when it comes to the lockout is last year was probably one of the biggest seasons for Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You had COVID, so in 2020 there was only 62 games, 60 games, something like that. And I'm sorry, like I didn't really like watching. I watched it, but I didn't like watching it with the crowd noises like being brought in by
Pumped
speakers and whatnot. That was ridiculous. And I mean, the Boston Red Sox actually had the most fans in a regular season game in 2020. One guy climbed the Green Monster and got inside and started throwing hats on the field. It was crazy. But last year I went to like 15 games, and I live almost 2 hours away from Boston, so it was fun. It's something to do, and I went to my first post game postseason game. Sorry, I can speak, but I don't know. I look at it this way: if there's no Major League Baseball, a lot of people are going to turn to minor league because they're not locked out.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny you kind of talk about that because I alluded to being a Detroit Tigers fan, and it's you and maybe your opinion of Dave Dombrowski is different from mine, but Dave Dombrowski did the way I saw in Detroit is he's kind of like the LeBron of the major league. He will throw everything at it for 2 or 3 years. Spend every resource there is, completely, get rid of your farm system to win now, and then leave you once you're close to winning now, or once you finally win, go to the next franchise, do it while you're in shambles. So finally, Dombrowski went to Boston, and you guys had some success. Obviously, we had some success. We didn't win the World Series being the Tigers, but now I'm excited because we have a good farm system. We have some of the top prospects in baseball for the Detroit Tigers, and it's exciting to see because they'll probably be getting called up, and so where you're at, you're in a division that it's always, you always talk about the Yankees, you always talk about the Red Sox, and it does usually come down to that. I mean, there's been some success, but I feel like that division's been pretty well wide open, and I think you guys have had that leg up. So like I said, Detroit's nowhere near that, but it's going to be exciting to watch these kind of younger kids play. So what was your thoughts? Did you like Dombrowski, what he did for you guys and how he exited? Were you a fan of what he did?
So at first, before I started the podcast, I hated Dombrowski. And it was basically because of what you said. Like, he comes in, he depletes the farm system, he spends all this money, he writes the checks to give these players, or he gets the owners to write the checks for these players and whatnot. And it's like, do we need David Price? No. Do we need Chris Sale? I'm not saying no, but I mean, like, the amount of money that he's throwing at these guys. But Dave Dombrowski, this is the type of person he is, right? And not for nothing, what he did with the Red Sox, most of the players that he ended up trading in our farm, granted, it made our farm system weaker, but they really didn't amount to a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's not like he really depleted this. I mean, we ended up getting Jaron Duran. We got Tristan Cassis, who's like, I don't know if you've paid attention to any like Red Sox news or whatever, but Tristan Cassis is literally like, oh my God, I can't wait until he comes up. He's going to be, he's going to mash. He's going to fucking crush the ball. I saw him play in Double-A, and I swear there was this billboard that he hit the ball to, and I swear if it wasn't like one of those plastic ones that just like push the ball back, it would have went right through when it went to the highway. This guy's like 6'6", whatever, 265 pounds. Like, he's a beast, and he's gonna mash at Fenway. But with the Dave Dombrowski situation, after, that's another thing with the podcast is like, I'm learning every day. I learn with some of my co-hosts, everybody knows about the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Whether it be past, present, or even the future. We have people that are very, very, very well diverse with like the prospects end, and they teach us all. We all teach each other on everything. And when I came in, we started talking about Dombrowski. That like a lot of people were like, "No, Dombrowski wasn't bad. He did this, he did that." And like I said, you think about it, who did we really lose?
Yeah.
So I mean, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. It's not his fault that the team that he put together didn't win multiple championships. There were a couple of those teams should have won championships. I mean, 2019 they should have definitely at least gone a little bit further. But I mean, he got fired. He didn't leave. He wouldn't have left.
Well, yeah. So
I don't think that's what happened in Detroit. Did he leave or did he get fired?
No, I think he. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, it's been. I feel like there's so much sugarcoating in sports and stuff like that. Especially in baseball, it feels like you don't hear of any big firings outside of like managers and stuff like that. GMs, yeah, I guess you do. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I think he moved on. I think it was over with, and then Al Avila came in, and I mean we're kind of still up in the air based off of that. But transitioning. I mean, continuing with baseball, but transitioning to the arch nemesis, the New York Yankees. I saw an interesting tweet, and I know it came from you. Was the Yankees fans are just thinking that they're going to go after Freeman and Correa, and this is going to be the greatest thing in the world. And I'm sure it came from you. I said, "Good luck." Yeah, okay, yeah, sign him, but good luck signing your boy. Who's there right now? Yes, Aaron Judge. I feel like baseball fans are so out of their mind at some time. Yes, I mean you're talking baseball is on another level when it comes to wages and contracts and stuff like that. But you sign players like that, and then your local hometown, I wouldn't say local, but your hometown boys that you've rooted for, that you want to get extensions done down the road, you push yourself out of that market. You can't afford it. So I mean, when you're looking at baseball in numbers and in teams shelling out money, like we talked about Dombrowski a little bit, do you think a team like the Yankees, I mean, I shouldn't say could afford, but I mean, for your sake, Correa, Freeman, I mean, would you be like, all right, whatever, let them sign them because all it's going to do is hurt them down the road?
So right now they're stuck with a $324 million contract with Garrett Cole. They've already got one person with over a $300 million contract. Correa is looking at around 300 plus. I don't know the exact amount, but 300 plus. So let's just say 320. All right. So now you're at 624, right? Freeman's going to want the bag too. So what, you're going to pay three players almost $1 billion, and you still got Stanton. You don't think that Aaron Judge is going to want some money too? You think he's going to just take a team-friendly contract? No. I mean, there's got to be some of these. If George was still around, if he was alive, I think maybe. Okay, maybe. But his son Hal doesn't write the checks like that anymore.
Yeah.
They don't write checks like that. And I mean, paying a pitcher $324 million is a whole lot of money. And this is a guy that literally he gets on the mound every 5 days.
Yeah, so you're not a daily player, yeah.
Right. So, and then like I said, Correa, he's the best free agent on the market right now. Freeman's probably the most wanted because it's Freeman. But this is going to be his last contract, so he's going to want the bag. And I just don't see the Yankees shelling out $900 million between three players.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, we're talking about,
especially when Judge is getting ready to come up for a contract.
Well, exactly. That's what made me laugh about it, is because I was like, I know exactly who's tweeting this, because I was laughing about it. I said, but it's very true. Like, Yankees fans are so out of – I shouldn't say Yankees. I'm sorry. Because I don't have a beef with, any fan base. But fans are just so out of their mind with certain situations that they don't think hypothetically. They don't think it's a bad thing. Twitter is like the worst thing for it
it's
because
a fucking cesspool, dude.
It's so funny. Like you just look at it and you can watch all my shows. I make a lot of mistakes, and I'll own up to those, and that's fine. I never pretend to be a perfectionist on anything, any sport. And you even say, you talk specifically about the Boston Red Sox, but when your guests come on, you learn constantly from them, and you're very open to that. And that's exactly how I take this, because Zach and I have put this show together. It started off kind of, excuse me, to put the light on shows in our network. And then Zach and I are just like, hey, let's run with it, and we can add shows here and there. So actually of this year, you're the first outside guest, I would say. So it's really cool to have that aspect, that perspective, talking baseball again, because again, if you ask Zach, the easiest thing to do in the world is hit a baseball.
Really?
We'll have to get you guys together sometime.
95 mile per hour fastball. I'd like to see him hit that. Honestly, I actually want to make a shout out.
Absolutely.
So when we started the podcast, we were just by ourselves doing nothing. We weren't working with a network or anything. And I started doing a live stream on my YouTube. And one of your writers, who also is a contributor for, I believe it's MLB Daily.
Yep.
LJ.
Yep.
LJ came on. He's a Red Sox fan. He came on. He shot the shit with me and whatnot. And then after we stopped recording and whatnot, he told me about Belly Up, and he was like, I think you guys would be a great fit. This, that, and the other thing. He's like, you should check it out. And I checked you guys out, and I'm happy I did, because like it's literally like a family. Like, granted, we don't all like talk separately, like chit chat and whatnot, and separate chats and whatnot. But we all, it's a family. We had like a Christmas party via Zoom, and I would have never, being our first year here, and just in general, our first year. We've had so much fun working with Belly Up and everybody who's helped. So I thank you as well.
No, absolutely. Like I was on Andy Seinert's show the other night, the Sane Pod, and last night, and I just love being able to network with you guys. Like I told him, you guys coming on our network just says that you believe in what we're doing, Blaine and I. So that's why I want to see you guys succeed. So at the end of each month, when I'm reaching out to you guys to say, hey, here's blah, blah, the rundown, it makes me feel good, especially with you, because you guys have been so successful and you continue to grow. We've dabbled in different sponsors. We've done different things, and you guys continue to do well. And now with this whole network that we're releasing, TV and radio, there's a lot of different things that we're really, we're maybe small ball, but we're creating a lot of opportunity. That's what's a lot of fun about it.
I'll tell you what, I was telling a friend of mine who you actually, I had talked to and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he told me that was actually the guy that I was talking about starting the podcast with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So shout out to Brandon Brewer. So I was talking to him, and when I shot him a message, I was like, hey man, you should come on. You should be a part of the, because on a previous podcast that I was a part of, we were a part of another network. Mm-hmm. And there was literally no help at all. I'm not going to mention names, but there was no help at all. There was literally, you pay us, we do this, and that's it. Like, there was no like help behind the scenes or anything like that, and I got that podcast on there. I got Brandon's, I told Brandon, I was like, hey, you should come and join this network as well. And then a little while later, I think we were on for almost a year. Actually, we haven't even been on a year yet, but at the end of the year, like I want to say it was probably November, I told him you should reach out to Brandon or Mike, sorry. And he did. And right now he's running into a little trouble with his podcast, and he's got like the producer skills and whatnot. So I told him, hey man, if things end up going south or whatever, you're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great conversation with him. He had some questions. Very, I tell everybody, very transparent with what we want to do, how we want to do it. I told Andy last night, like, that we do things a little unorthodox. What we do is we offer you a lot of different things. Most people that start a podcast, if they want to be really successful, they have to pay for hosting. They have to pay for some kind of streaming service. They have to pay for, and we try to kind of ball that all in one and give you like a giant savings, and then also give you the backing of the social media and stuff. And I had a great conversation with him. I know that he's probably got a lot going on. So always welcome here. He can reach out at any time. But yeah,
he's probably going to end up joining our show as a producer. And then,
great.
So technically we've had 102 episodes, but I consider one of them a bonus episode because it was our sponsor, who's one of my friends. And because he knows how to use StreamYard and whatnot. But I've been a part of every episode.
Yes.
All 102 episodes so far. And there's going to be a day where I'm just going to be like, guys, you got to record tonight without me. Like I'm busy. I might have a friend over. Might be doing something. Get busy. Watching a movie, Netflix and chill, something like that.
So with that being said, 102 episodes. Do you have one? I know we talked about your most recent. You had a great guest. Is there an episode that you just look back on and like, man, we killed it, or maybe an episode that just did really well, and you're like, man, that episode was great. I mean, do you know? Like, I feel like every time I get on the mic, Zach grounds me. He keeps me in check. He gets our producer together. We get everything. Like I said, he's off tonight. So the opening of the show was a shit show. So for those listening podcast version, we do record live. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Tiki. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And so like I said, that's where we talk, we comment and stuff like that. And but is there an episode where for you guys that just really that hit and you're like, man, that was a great episode and you just feel great about? Or was there, just kind of, I mean, I'm sure everybody kind of has that one, or there's a couple that you're just like, man, that kind of sucked. I mean, was there one that really sticks out that you're like, man, this episode was great?
So I'm not going to go with the low hanging fruit because last night was probably my favorite, but outside of that one, I'd have to say, we had a Yankees podcaster on, and she's actually one of my favorite people to talk to, especially when it comes to baseball. She has a podcast called Breaking Balls. And her name is Emily Nyman, and very, very knowledgeable with baseball. But we had a long conversation about one specific player, and this was probably like a couple months ago that we talked about this or had her on. And I just got another notification today from somebody who was reading like through our tweets or something, and they liked it. And I was just like, oh my God, I remember that conversation. We were talking about Tim LaCastro, the Red Sox had just signed him right before the lockout.
Yeah.
And we had like a 20-minute conversation about this one player, and he's just a minor league player, and he's not fantastic or anything, but we just like, seriously, 20 minutes. It was just like Tim LaCastro, this, that, and the other thing. But that one was probably one of my favorites. The one we actually just recorded one a couple weeks ago that was dog shit. We started talking about the Royal Rumble. So like one of our co-hosts, he wasn't able to come on because he had parenting duties he had to do. And shout out to Ryan Brady. So our other co-host, Hogdale, he was on, and we were talking about the 2004 World Series, and he was like maybe 4 or 5 years old when that happened. So it didn't, like, it means a lot to him now, but when he was 5, it didn't mean shit to him, So like,
wait, hold on. You say Hogdale?
Hogdale. H-O.
Okay, no, I was saying because I always read it and I'm like, this kid looks like he's like 12 years old on your show, and I just call him Hodge or Hog or something like that.
he's literally like 6'4".
No shit. He looks like a little kid.
He does. I keep telling him like grow a patch or something, But him and I just got we got so sidetracked because Brady's super knowledgeable when it comes to like all the the stuff in the past.
Yeah, you do have a good flow with people.
He's been watching baseball. He's been watching the Red Sox since he was a kid. I actually, fun facts, and I tell everybody this. I grew up a Yankees fan.
Really?
So yeah,
No
I was
shit.
I was in foster care. So, and the foster family I was with, they were Yankees.
Say no more. That just, you know what? Let's end the episode right there. That explains everything. No, I'm just joking.
But they were Giants, Knicks, Rangers,
no shit.
Like everything. And I loved baseball. And every time I wanted to watch baseball, it was Yankees. That's all they watched. So
really?
I grew up a Yankees fan. My all-time favorite player is actually Don Mattingly. I get a lot of shit for that one.
Really?
But I don't give a fuck. I'm a baseball fan first, Like I love the Boston Red Sox, and they're my team now, and they've been my team since before they won the World Series.
Really?
It was, I want to say it was like 95, 96 when I changed to be a Sox fan. But I always have love for Don Mattingly.
Really? So can I ask you something a little? And you don't have to. Being with your being foster family, I don't know how it works, so I'm not trying to say, but
I'm an open book, man.
So is this like? Do you still communicate with these people, or is this like something long ship sailed?
So up until about July, I talked to them.
Okay.
And it actually, I'll tell you exactly why. It actually came down to a Red Sox game, why I don't talk to them anymore. So my old foster father, my younger brother, him and I have different fathers. We have the same mom, but he didn't really have a connection with our mom and whatnot. So he connected with them, and so they are his parents. So
okay.
That's why I stay connected with them and whatnot. And
Yeah,
and then in July, rewind a little bit. So I started bringing my nephew to baseball games. Like I went to a Yankees game with him. We went to go see the Mets. Unfortunately, that got rained out both times we went. So my old foster father sends me a text message. He's like, "Oh, just won tickets on the Green Monster. I'm gonna send your brother and your nephew." I'm like, "Why the fuck would you tell me that?" Like seriously, why would you fucking tell me that? Like you're just being a dick. That's exactly what you're doing. So I sent my brother a text message. I'm like, dude, let me bring him. Like, it's not gonna mean that much to you. Like, okay, it'll mean something to you, like bringing your son to a game. I get that, whatever. But like bringing him to his first game at Fenway Park, being on the Monster, like I didn't give a shit that it was on the Monster. I would have been out in the goddamn bleachers. Yeah. But we just got into a huge argument. He told me to lose his contacts, so I lost every bit of his contacts. It's like I haven't talked to him since. They sent me a Christmas card. I ripped that motherfucker up and threw it in the trash.
So not to go too far off the rails, because that's not what I expected, but that's why I love talking to you. Is so then really, okay, growing up a Yankees fan, this is what I want to know, and I'm sure people ask you this. How did the switch happen? What was it?
The funniest thing, man. So I saw Mike Greenwell hit a home run over the Green Monster. That was what changed my perception. I was no longer a Yankee fan. I was a Red Sox fan.
The most powerful guy in the world.
Exactly. I thought he was the most powerful guy in the world. But thinking about it now, he's literally like he's a fly ball to
that the, porch, out there. I was gonna say, it's like
to the warning track. It's typically a fly ball, But I saw him do that, and I turned it. I was visiting my father on a visitation, and I saw my grandma hit that home run, and I instantly changed. And then thankfully it did, because then I got to see people like I got to see Nomar, I got to see Pedro, Tech, Wakefield, all them people. And then 04 actually meant something to me, No, I'm not Zach Ryan. Or Mike.
I would say, yeah, between both of them, we got two comments for those the podcast listen on the podcast side. We're streaming live on YouTube right now. We got some comments coming in. Zach is not with me tonight. He is out enjoying in Tampa. So I got Brad Shanler here from Pesky Report. Really excited to have him on. We got Beth jumping in the comments here saying, Zach, you look a lot like Mike. Mike, you look a lot or a little like Brad, because we're flip flopped here on the screen. And Ryan McCarthy, a friend of the show all the time, he jumped on and said, "You're not Zach." So definitely, got some comments coming in here. Appreciate that. But that's awesome to hear your story and kind of how it works. I know this is kind of a loaded question, and maybe you have somebody. Is there a Red Sox that is your favorite all time? And maybe you've never even really kind of thought about it.
It's hard because like every year there's new players, and then like my very first game I ever went to was the day before the bombing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and the fun thing about that was I actually got to go on the field and I met some of the players. I met Johnny Gomes. I met Ryan Dempster. And then the following, I think it was later on in the season, I got to meet like a bunch of players too. I met Xander Bogaerts.
Really?
I got to, I think in 2014, I got to meet, I think it was 14, but I did meet Grady Sizemore. But to say like my favorite Red Sox player, it's either going to be Pedro. Veritek. Because, like, if I met Pedro, I'd probably shit my pants. But I ended up meeting Tech, and I told this story last night to Bianca, and I told her, I was like, I was down on the field. I met, Alex Cora, wicked cool dude, took a picture with him, met Steve Pearce, who was the 2018 World Series MVP. He was wicked cool, met a lot of the players. But, like, Veritek came over, and I'm seriously like trying to take a selfie, and I'm just shaking. I was shaking so bad I dropped my phone, and he literally like touched me on the shoulder. He was just like, "Just calm down. I'm not going anywhere." And I was like, I didn't really calm down. Like I literally was fangirling inside. I'm like, oh my god, it's Tech. Don't look like a tard. Oh my god, it's Tech. And I took a picture, and then literally like other players were coming over, and I was just. My girlfriend at the time, I was just like, we gotta go to our seats because I gotta go use a bathroom or something. It was probably the most starstruck I've ever been, and like I met musicians before and whatnot, but yeah, I was shaking. That's how like excited I was. So yeah, I say Veritek.
That's good. I think he's definitely. I mean, he is like the epitome of Boston. He is what that organization is about. He's gritty, and Pedro is too. I mean, but you're talking like a guy that you're talking like one of the old school catchers, a great guy. You never question him, but yeah, I think that's a great answer. And before
Veritek's the only catcher to catch 4 no-hitters.
Yes, absolutely, and a little tidbit there. But so with that being said, big news for you guys. Obviously, this year, it happened a while ago now. But Poppy making the Hall,
first ballot.
A lot of different things. What's that?
Ballot.
Yes, first ballot. In the way things are, and which actually let me, and I don't want to say his name and allude to this, but obviously with steroids and stuff like that, he's never come up on report, different things. But then another thing that came out this year that I didn't mention is now baseball decided they're no longer going to test for steroids, kind of different things. And
that's not true. That's not true.
Well, I'm saying I don't know. Like I said, you're the baseball.
So okay, so the steroid. So they just announced that they're no longer testing for now. Okay, they have to come up with an agreement. So I mean, like,
wow,
yeah, you're they're definitely going to have to do the steroid check and whatnot, because if not, then you're going to have people like Robinson
Open it up for the rest of them.
Yeah, Robinson Cano is going to have a super elite season, even though he's been dog shit for the last he's been out on out because of steroids.
I was just gonna say I totally forgot about the guy.
I love how Mets fans were like, "Oh, we need this for a second base." It's like, what are you going to do about Cano? Like you still have him. People
no range because he's so swollen. But anyway, so yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm confident. I'm 99.9% positive, unless Rob Manfred, who's probably the biggest idiot ever. I'm pretty sure they're going to be testing still.
So like I said, not to say Poppy's name and then talk about that steroid era and just in general, but first ballot Hall of Famer, definitely deserves it. Were you shocked that he was a first ballot, or was it just no? I mean, you talk about somebody great for baseball, a lot like Veritek. I mean, everything he did was for the city, and you talk about the bombing, and he was very outspoken after that, and you got to love his speech after that, and everything that happened. You could not be happier for a guy to be a first ballot. I'm sure that was great for Boston fans, sports fans in general. I mean, like I said, being a Tigers fan, how can you not root for the guy, especially everything he's been through since he's retired, But do you have any memories? Did you ever get to meet him? Did you ever get to see him play? I'm sure you saw him play.
So I've never met him. He's another person, like if I met, I'd probably just shit my pants because he's got that big personality.
Oh, yeah.
But the very first time I saw Poppy, I saw Poppy hit a home run. I literally just got to the park. They had already started playing. I think it was like the second or third inning. I'm walking up the ramp, and I don't know about anybody else, but every time, I've been to Fenway close to 100 times, right? And I get up the ramp, and every time I go up that ramp, I get goosebumps. I don't get in any other park, just Fenway. And as I'm walking up the ramp, I got goosebumps, and Poppy's up to hit, and I don't even turn around to start going to my seat. I just pay attention. Out of the park.
Popped one out.
I don't remember I think it was in 2015. Yeah, 2015. Really? It was September of 2015, I want to say. So, but yeah, that was cool.
So you've obviously, for those people tuning in right now, like I said, we're live on YouTube, on Twitter, and we're on Tiki Live, which is actually Belly Up TV new. Brad here from Pesky Report. Really excited to have him on, talk to him about baseball in general. Zach's not the biggest baseball guy, so having a guy in here talk a little baseball. Red Sox guy. It's kind of cool hearing his upbringing, different things. For those of you that haven't heard, he grew up a Yankees fan. Yes, I did say that, but now he is a Boston guy. He gave us the reason why. So if you want to hear that, listen to the podcast. Excuse me. But before we get out of baseball here, there's different things, different sports. Obviously, again, I keep saying this. You're the baseball guy, and I'm not saying you're the belly baseball guy, but you're very well knowledge. Is there one player in the league, whether it is a Boston player or just somebody in the league bearing any lockout, that you're most excited to watch play this year?
All of them.
Yeah, just in general because of where we're at.
Yeah, just because of where we're at. I'm really excited for the Mets because they have two of the best pitchers. You've got Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. Even though he's a Yankee, I do like Luke Voit. I like seeing him crush, unless it's against the Red Sox. But Correa, I kind of don't see him going anywhere. I think he's going to stay with Houston. Right. I'm a little heartbroken that Eddie went to Detroit.
I take.
Yeah, I mean he's in good hands. Baez in Detroit was pretty. I didn't expect that. I thought that they were going to go for Correa. Maybe Correa was
I did
just a
too. I
little
thought
too
they were going to make money,
expensive.
especially with Hinch being there. But
There's still rumors that he could go to Detroit. I don't know how that works, especially after signing Baez for that much.
yeah, I don't know. I just it'll be interesting. I'm excited. Like I said, they're young. They've got some superstars. I mean, I shouldn't say young. I mean, you still got Miggy. So
the most exciting player in baseball, and I actually made a tweet a few weeks ago. It was probably last week actually, cursing out Stephen A. Smith. He made a comment about how Shohei Ohtani cannot be the face of baseball, but here we are, MLB The Show 2022.
yep,
He's on the cover. But in fairness, MLB The Show decided they had it lined up. They had the ball set on the tee for them. All they had to do was just lose the W. Because Shohei Ohtani, MLB The Show. So they could have done it that way.
But anyways, before we get out of here, we got a few minutes left. I'm gonna transition to a different sport. I know you're pretty well versed. Maybe not too. I mean, you keep up to date with sports. We talk about All-Star games. We talk about NHL playoffs, NHL All-Star. Obviously, the MLB All-Star. We talk about the Pro Bowl. Did you happen to tune into the Pro Bowl?
I watched 4 minutes of it. Because my brother and I, my brother actually wants to try and get into podcasting. So I have another show. It was called the Brad Shanler Show. We changed it to the Chandler Show because it's my brother and I now. And my brother's the football guy. That's basically all he knows. He thinks he knows baseball, but he doesn't know anything outside of New York. If it's not the Yankees, they don't exist. And the Red Sox just suck. Like, you can't give credit where credit is due, right? So I started watching football a little more. I probably watched 4 or 5 games this year. That's 4 or 5 games more than I usually
Too many.
watch.
I told you.
But I watched the Super Bowl. You know, like the playoffs are cool. I'm gonna say, what was it? The Bills? Was it the Bills? No, it was the Chiefs. Cam.
Chiefs Bills. I don't know. Chiefs Bengals. Chiefs Bills.
Chiefs and Bills. That was like the best game of the season, right?
Yeah, it came down to overtime. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything came down to like 4 seconds.
The playoffs this year have been good, but yeah,
it's crazy. And back to when you were saying something about like an extra game in football, I don't like it. Like the Super Bowl would normally be like this past weekend, you know. But yeah, I watched like 4 minutes of the freaking Pro Bowl, and I saw that they were playing two-hand touch, and I literally changed the channel to watch curling.
There you have it, folks, right there. The baseball man even tried to tune in to the NFL and just said, "Hey, you know what?
I'm gonna tell you,
go to the curling."
I don't know. Have you watched some of the Olympics?
Yeah, I've tuned in. Actually, to tell you the truth, it's been kind of gruesome on a lot of forefronts. There's been a lot of injuries this year, and everything that's going on. Like I've seen like the slalom. I don't even know if it was like the super pipe or something or whatever it was like pretty much in like a nuclear waste zone. Like they just put straight like the slalom in the middle of like nowhere. So, but I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't tuned into a whole lot of it, but it's been pretty crazy.
Tell you what. So my brother started snowboarding. His fiance skis, and I was telling him before we recorded our last episode, I was like, bro, I don't know how they do these moguls. Like, if they literally are getting ready to like get, my back hurts watching it. But, not even. So I was talking about curling. I'll tell you what, dude. 10 years ago, you would have put curling on. I would have walked out. You know, I put curling on, and I was just way too lazy to change the channel.
It's like relaxing watching these dudes.
I got invested. I was watching. I was like, oh, it's like chess, man. And then the other thing is like, I'm gonna go a complete opposite way here. I was watching some of these figure skating stuff. This kid Nathan Chen, holy crap, dude! Some of the spins and all the like their landings and what it's incredible. I mean, I'm not going to watch it outside of the Olympics, but
just when the Pro Bowl's on, so why not?
Oh no, the Pro Bowl was just terrible. Honestly, like I think the best part of it was when what is it called? Mac Jones did the that little dance.
Yes, the gritty.
Yeah, he did. I swear to God, everybody was talking on Boston Sports Radio this past week. That's all they were talking about was Mac Jones looked like he was having fun, and he did. He looked like he was having fun.
You talking about a rookie making a case to replace Tom Brady, so absolutely, you guys know that's close to your guys' heart. But before we get out of here, I appreciate you, Brad Shanler. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find your show, what you guys got going on, and then we'll head out of here.
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, BRS Baseball 83. I'd say you can find me on Facebook, but I'm always banned on there because I get into arguments with Red Sox, not even Red Sox fans, just fans in general. But you can find us at this show. You can find us on all platforms. Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook as well. I don't run the Facebook page. It's Pesky Report. And once the season starts, we're going to start grinding. We'll start recording after every series. I'm super excited for the season to start because we've got 6 people that record. We've got Bailey, Ed, we've got Hogdale, we have Brady. We have a couple guys that back up just in case. And then we're possibly going to be looking at bringing on some more people. And I hope we get a season. Saturday, we should find out, hopefully. Maybe, possibly.
But anyways, a great guest. I appreciate you jumping on. I was glad to when I reached out to you, you're like, yeah, well, absolutely, let's do this. And I didn't really have a topic list for you, but I knew baseball was in your wheelhouse, so we made it happen. Really excited to have you on, and looking forward to you guys' growth again this year.
Yeah, hey man, the first thing you asked me, you were like, "Are you still getting up early?" I still get up at 4:30 in the morning for my new job. I get to actually sleep in a little bit. I start at 7. I can't get out of the habit, man. I've been doing it for 6 years.
Nothing wrong with it, so. But anyways, man, I appreciate it. Check those guys out. Pesky Report, very, very up and coming popular show. Great show on our network. I appreciate you, Brad, jumping on. And we will see you next week. Zach Mack should be back. Hopefully, who knows? Otherwise, maybe we'll have another appearance from Brad.
I just want to say one thing. Can we start like a GoFundMe to get you like a ring light?
Yeah, shut up. Let's get out of here. Everyone shits on me. See ya.